grab a snack, hydrate, maybe stretch a little. Today on Our Space, we're about to witness someone burn down their relationship, their dignity, and their sense of reality, all because they were mad about a dinner bill. Let's begin. Cheating on my husband didn't bring the satisfaction I hoped for. He found out, and I regret everything. I hate that I'm writing this, but I need to get it off my chest. There's no one else I can talk to about this. Normally, I would talk to my husband, but in this case, obviously, I can't. I also don't want to talk to my friends about this because I don't want to have to expose how crappy a person I am to all of them. This is the best place for me to vent and actually hear the harsh words I need to hear. I've already said a whole lot to myself, but I might need to hear more. The only thing I ask is that before you choose to say anything, remember that you're talking to a real human. I'm not saying that you have to be kind, but there's a limit to what a regular person can take. I am 29 female, and my husband is 30 male. We've been married for 7 years because we got married rather early. I knew at the time that there was no one else that I wanted to spend my life with. When I remember how good things used to be, I hate myself even more. We were going to have kids, but we wanted to wait until we were both over 30 because it felt like at that point we would have gotten all of our youth out of the way, and we would have built ourselves up to a sensible point in terms of fulfillment and our careers. I'm glad that we did that because we both did a lot to improve in our professions. The problems really started, at least for me, about a year ago. Looking back, it might have been a burnout. I was putting myself into my work too aggressively. I wanted to be better and earn more, and it was working, but it was taking a toll on me. I knew that it was, but I failed to acknowledge how deeply it was affecting me. That was the biggest mistake I made. When my mood was foul, or I was uninterested in doing anything that wasn't work or resting, I never connected it to burnout or the way that I was overworking. If I had recognized that, I would have tried to do less and feel better. Instead, I was just confused about why I felt the way I did. The sad thing is that my husband ended up as the victim to my moods. He's always been frugal, but for some reason, it really started to trigger me. I just wanted to spend money on things that I really liked. But he's always there to be the voice of reason and tell me that it wasn't a smart buy. Sometimes, it was as little as a relatively expensive dinner for the two of us. I remember being so mad at him back then. Most of the time, I never said anything, but one day, I blew up. I called him a spendthrift, and I told him that not everyone came from the same kind of background that he did, so he didn't always have to penny pinch. I even feel worse because immediately after saying it, I didn't feel bad. I felt like he deserved to hear it. I knew how badly it hurt him. He's very sensitive about his background because it has been a challenge for him for most of his life. He didn't say anything, he just gave me the silent treatment, which only made me more annoyed. I lashed out a lot after that thing happened. Eventually, we got back to normal though. I was still feeling the effects of the burnout. So I was irritable. He doesn't work in the same industry as I do, but I ask him for his help in figuring numbers out sometimes because he's a math whiz. He always has been. So when my numbers weren't making sense, he went over everything with me, and he found the part where I had calculated wrong. I feel so much embarrassment when I look back because I was so unreasonable to him. I felt something was wrong with his tone when he pointed out my mistake. I was defensive right away, trying to explain how easy it was to make that kind of mistake, and he acknowledged that it was easy to make that mistake, but that sounded patronizing to me, which was even more of a problem. I lashed out at him, telling him that he always felt like he knew more than the next person. I could see how shocked he was. I turned something simple into a big mess, and he didn't deserve it. He kept trying to calm things down, but I didn't accept any of his attempts. He told me that he was going to leave me to calm down because he wasn't getting through to me. That annoyed me too, because it was like he thought he was superior. I know how problematic I was, and I hate myself for putting him through that. I called him all sorts of names for walking out on me. He locked himself in the second bedroom, and I tried to get him to open it over and over. I don't know what I was going to do if he opened it, but I just hated how he was trying to act like he was mature and in control. Thankfully, he didn't open it because at that point, I was really angry at him. That was when I chose to leave the house. I dressed up quickly, but in something that looked nice, and I left without telling him. I didn't bother to lock the door. I knew as soon as I left that I wanted to hurt him. I wish I could take that moment back. He wanted to talk. He wanted to give me the chance to cool down, but my ego was so easily bruised by everything he said. I realized that he truly couldn't have said the right thing, because there wasn't a right thing at that point. I went to a bar, and I wasn't even there for 5 minutes before someone bought me a drink. He was a plain-looking guy, and I knew that I wouldn't mind doing anything with him. I remember one brief moment of regret. I knew what I wanted to do, and maybe it was my conscience under all the negative emotions, but I felt like I had the one last opportunity not to make the mistake. Unfortunately, I felt too strongly in that moment to stop. It wasn't like I was going to rub it in his face, but I felt like simply knowing that I had shown him was going to make me feel better. Like, as much as he tried to act like he was better than me, I could get someone else in the blink of an eye. I don't know if that reasoning makes any sense to anyone. I'm not saying it is a good way to reason, but it is the logic that followed in that moment. My husband called, likely to ask where I was, but I muted the call because I actually didn't want to be stopped at that point. I followed the guy at the bar to his car. We had sex. It wasn't even the kind of experience that I had hoped for. It was underwhelming. He didn't have protection, but I wanted to hurt my husband so bad that I let it happen like that. Very stupid, I know. I did everything I needed to do afterward, including buying the morning after pill and getting tested, and I was fine. But I think the clarity after the act was what I needed to realize how stupid and reckless I had been. It also made me reflect on how inconsiderate I had been towards him. I hate that I couldn't reach that realization before I actually cheated on him. I promised myself that I was going to do better and be more patient with him. I wasn't going to cheat again. That didn't matter in the end. He was worried about me when I got back home, but I didn't want him to touch me because I was scared he'd be able to tell what happened. I lied that I had just taken a walk to cool down and I had one drink. He believed me. He wanted to make sure that I was fine, but I harshly told him I was, just because I wanted to get in the shower and clean myself off. He left me alone. Where I effed up was that I left the pill I had bought in the pocket of the jacket I'd worn. He wanted to wash it because it reeked of cigarette smoke, and that was where he found it. He didn't wake me up. He just waited until the next morning. I was looking for the pill, but I couldn't find it. That was when he showed it to me and asked if that was what I was looking for. I can never forget the look he had on his face. In this entire thing, it is the one thing that breaks my heart the most. He wasn't angry. It was like disappointment and sadness. It broke my heart. I wish so much that I had just used the pill that very night and gotten rid of the box. I was scared that the alcohol I had drunk would F things up. That's the only reason I waited. I wanted to make sure it worked properly, and I never thought he'd check my pockets. I regret everything, and I wish I had just hidden it better, because I never would have broken his heart, and I never would have ruined everything we had built. But I did, and I hate myself for it. I tried to lie. That was my first instinct. I said that a friend had asked me to buy it for her, but he was too smart to believe that, especially considering how I had disappeared the previous night. He could tell that I was lying, and I didn't want to be a fool and keep lying when it was so obvious that he had already seen right through me, so I caved. I didn't admit what I did, but I didn't deny it when he said that I had cheated on him. To actually say it out loud, or even nod, felt like such an indictment on the person I thought I was. I had been a major witch to him the last several weeks, but to actually admit that I was a cheater, even though I was, felt like the worst thing. He didn't say much to me. He just left from work. And while I tried to beg for him to stick around for us to talk, he just left. I called in sick because I wasn't in any mood to go to work. I cried a lot, and it's one of those moments that I look back and I just struggle to understand myself. I wanted to cheat on him to hurt him, and I did, and then I was crying about it? I made so many mistakes and so many stupid decisions that I can't take back. He came back in the evening, and by then, I had written a sincere apology that I wanted to read out, but he didn't even give me the chance to. He just walked past me and started packing essentials. I begged him to stay because I wanted to express how I felt and let him know how sorry I was, but he didn't act like he heard me. I even started to read it out loud, but the fact that he was acting like I wasn't even there made me stop. In the end, I watched him walk out the door, and since then he hasn't come back. I've tried to call him to figure out where he is, and just to make sure that he's okay, but he's not responding to any of my calls or messages. I feel like such a horrible person, and I acknowledge that I am. But is it really over? I've tried my best to truly let him know how sincerely I regret what I've done, because if he can know the full extent of my sincerity, maybe that might change something. I don't know that for a fact though, but it is the only thing that I can do. I'm so scared that he will move on to someone else, and then that will be the end of the life that we hoped to build together. I effed up really bad, I know. I just don't want to give up on him. I've sent him long messages expressing my regret, how stupid I was, and how I wish I could take it all back. I've admitted that I'm a fool and I acted so inconsiderately. I even went to a therapist who was the one who first pointed out that my burnout was likely the reason for the way that my mood and behavior changed. I told him about that too, because I really needed some way to get through to him. But he hasn't answered a single message or call. Please, I'm begging. I know I'm not a great person in this story, but if you have some advice for me or something new that I can try out, I'm listening. I'm willing to do anything. I feel like I'm losing my mind. None of this was worth all the pain that I'm going through. It just wasn't worth it. But I was too stupid to realize that before ruining it all. Update. I didn't think that I was going to have to write anything else on this. Once I wrote the first post, I got enough mean words to last me a lifetime. I expected that, but not to that extent. It was incredibly harsh, but over the months, I have realized that I need to hear how much of a horrible person I am. I've been telling myself that more than anyone else has. Maybe it'll stop me from making a stupid mistake like that if I ever get the chance to get into such a loving relationship again. We're divorced now, which I'm sure surprises nobody. I did my best to let him know how sorry I was. I went to his workplace and waited the whole day outside. When he came out of the building, he was so shocked to see me, and he rushed to his car. He refused to speak to me. It broke me. That was the point I realized that we were done. He wanted nothing at all to do with me. It's so hard for me to express how deeply I regretted what I did and how much I wanted him to know that so we could get back to normal. But life doesn't always work the way you want it to, I guess. Because some things you do simply can't be taken back. Some consequences are final, and I learned that the very hard way. I wanted to make the divorce easy, but my lawyer advised me against it. He convinced me that the alimony was my right, so I made sure to ask for it. The court granted it. Looking back, I wish that I hadn't, because it was just another reason for him to hate me. I know that we aren't ever going to be together again, but for some reason the idea of him hating me hurts. I never wanted things to end that way. I've continued to focus on my work, and for months after we separated, I made things worse by throwing myself 100% into work. I burned out worse than I ever have before, and I lashed out at myself because he wasn't there to be the victim. Eventually, I just accepted the circumstances and took things easier on myself. I know a lot of people will disagree, but as a cheater, I don't deserve the worst life has to throw at me. It happened once. I regretted it, and I still regret it. I can be a better person, and that's what I'm trying my best to do on a daily basis. I've realized that my ex-husband has moved on. Maybe I'm reading too much into the things he posts on social media, but I never saw him post anything to show that this hurt him as much as it hurt me. I wonder whether he just shrugged it off, or whether it didn't even mean that much to him. I know it's stupid to try and dictate how he reacts, especially because I was the one who effed up. But it would at least feel better to me to see him post something on Twitter about how he's heartbroken, or how he wishes things were the same. But it's the same stuff as it has always been. It makes me feel like none of this meant as much to him as it did to me. Am I being stupid? I feel like I am. But maybe some people will understand what it feels like. He posted a story on Instagram the other day. He went to a coffee shop that we used to go together, and I saw a woman standing beside him. It wasn't a picture of the two of them. He took a video of his order, and I could see someone standing very close to him. She was wearing heels, and I don't want to believe that was just some random person who also came in to order, because she seemed to be standing too close to him for that. I know I sound entitled, and I'm trying to move on, but it feels like he might be trying to trigger me, especially because he went to that same coffee shop that was meant to be ours. Look, in the end, I can't take any of this back. I know it was my fault. If I had been a better wife, not a single one of these things that I'm complaining about would have happened. I made a mistake, and I wish he could have forgiven me, but he chose not to, and that's his choice. It breaks my heart, but hey, he's free to do what he wants. If he's moved on, then good for him. But I know that eventually, I'm going to move on from his pain too. I don't know when, because that seems so far away from me right now. I'm still so attached to him, but it won't last forever. In the end, as much as I'm frustrated and angry at him, I have no choice but to accept that it is all my fault. I regret everything, because I am 100 times less happy without him in my life. It's so stupid that I couldn't recognize how much he brought into my life from the start. I couldn't even cheat on him without getting caught. I'll never do it again. I just hope that this can at least be a cautionary tale for any women who think cheating is exciting and fun. It wasn't even worth it. If you have problems with your partner, just talk. Talking would have helped me so much. If I hadn't been selfish and stupid, I've said enough. I think I'm done with talking about this. I'll be better at some point. You went out to hurt your husband on purpose. You dressed up, left the door unlocked, ignored his call, climbed into a stranger's car, let him go raw, and then came home lying about it. You treat this whole story like you accidentally burned dinner, not like you nuked your marriage. And then you had the nerve to get jealous of a woman in heels on his Instagram story? You cheated raw in a Honda Civic behind a bar, but you're pressed about some woman standing next to him in a coffee shop? The word you're looking for is not entitled, it's delusional. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.